Welcome to Bring Women Back to Work podcast, the space where ambition meets possibility. Here we elevate the voices of women returning to the workforce, amplifying the leaders who champion them and challenge the system that hold them back. Each episode brings honest stories, experts' insights, and actionable strategies that empower women to step boldly into their next chapter with confidence, clarity, and community. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement to redesign the workplace for a future where women rise, lead, and thrive.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bring Women Back to Work podcast. My name is Natalie Alexander, and I'm part of the team at Bring Women Back to Work. And we created this podcast to be able to build a space for women who've completed the program to share their story and their advice with other women in the community, but also to be able to reflect with guests of many different backgrounds on the ways we can all support women who've taken a career break and would like to return to work, but also to now help retain them at work and to support them as they rise into their unique positions, whether it be leadership in their workplaces or in society. And in this episode, we are thrilled to have our guest, a former Bring Women Back to Work participant and business owner now, Maria Fernandez Cabral. Maria, thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's so exciting to be here, and I'm excited for the conversation.
We're very excited to have you. We know you are now living and working in Germany, but your story is actually a fascinating one and begins actually in the Dominican Republic. Tell us a bit about yourself and your journey before joining Bring Women Back to Work.
Yes, it's been quite the ride, but like you mentioned, I am from Dominican Republic. I was born there. I then migrated to the US with my family when I was 7 years old, and I moved to Boston, Massachusetts. So Boston is really my second home. It's where I grew up. It's where I study. It's where I have my family and my friends. And then now, after 20 plus years of living in the US, I've been in Germany now. So I relocated to Germany in 2018 with my now husband, and I'm living here abroad with my family.
And then, so what prompted you to take a career break? Was it this move to a totally different country, or was it to have children, or a bit of both?
That's a really good question. So I've had two breaks, so to say, and I actually prefer to call it a career transition rather than a break per se, because even during those breaks, I was still thinking about my career, thinking about how I wanted to grow professionally. So the first sort of career transition happened for me when I first moved abroad to Germany in 2018. So as you can imagine, I kind of left everything behind back in Boston. I left my career, I left my family, I left my friends. And I moved to Germany with zero network, and I did not have a job lined up before moving. So my first career transition happened with moving to Germany, not having a job lined up, and really using those first few months after my relocation to learn the language, to really build a network from scratch. So that was my first transition. The second career transition that I had was after having my first child in 2022. I had my little girl, and it was a very pivotal moment for me for many reasons. Not only was I exploring this new experience of becoming a now mother abroad, still learning German at that time. Well, I'm honestly still learning German now. You're never really fluent. Yeah, I took a career pause. I enjoyed the benefits of parental leave, Elternzeit in Germany for 1.5 years. My daughter at home, and at the same time, I was thinking as well around my career and what next step I wanted to take.
I really like your approach of thinking it as a career transition, because there are so many different elements that come into play when you think about how you can show up at work. And so I appreciate you saying that was a transition for you and how that can change also your mindset. And also the fact that you learned German to take advantage of the parental leave that was in the country that you moved to, Germany. These are all really interesting aspects. I also am curious how you discovered Bring Women Back to Work and what motivated you to apply for the program.
So I found Bring Women Back to Work during my second career transition, as I mentioned, after having my first child. And I honestly found it through just some late night Google searches. I'm sure other moms and parents can relate. You're up in the wee hours of the night, either changing a diaper or nursing. And I was up late, couldn't go back to sleep, doing some Google searches and really looking around career opportunities for women, programs for women, how to pivot into tech abroad. So those were kind of some of the key searches that I was putting in on Google. And there popped up the Bring Women Back to Work program. And it sounded like the perfect program for me at that time.
That's amazing. So you applied and you got in.
Yes. And I was part of the first cohort in Germany.
The first cohort in Germany. Amazing. What was your experience like as a participant in the program?
Honestly, it was inspirational. It was motivating. It was so inspiring to be around a strong community of very motivated and highly skilled and professional women. It was exactly the community that I needed in such a pivotal time in my personal life and in my career. And I'm just so happy I stumbled across the program.
Yeah. Is there a moment during the program that was especially meaningful or transformative for you?
So, first of all, just getting to know these women. I mean, we were all across Germany, and I ended up becoming really good friends with some of them who are not even based in Frankfurt. And I'm actually still in contact with them today. I was just sending some voice notes last week to a really good friend.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yes, and she's out in Stuttgart, and we're still supporting each other and encouraging each other right now. And that's one thing that really sticks out to me, just the community and how supportive we all were. We all were, many of us moms trying to upskill, trying to retrain, get back into the workforce. So it was always just such a supportive environment. And I knew those were the types of environments that I always thrived in. My background is women in gender studies academically. So it obviously made sense to get into a program like this one where I would be around other inspiring, motivational women. Another thing that really stuck out to me was, or that really taught me a lot, was just preparing for those Salesforce administrative exams. They really require me kind of putting my student hat on again. And I was learning a lot outside of the program hours and really preparing intensively for these tests. And learning just about the Salesforce CRM system in general was just such a good learning experience as someone who was considering going into tech and trying something new.
You mentioned the certifications and they are really intense. It's something that's really to be proud of once you achieve these certifications. Do you have any advice for other women in the program right now who are going through the ropes, who are studying and hoping to pass through the certifications? What advice would you give them?
That's a great question. Advice I would give them is to, first of all, utilize your cohort. That's what you're there for. Hold each other accountable, partner up with someone and have a study buddy. Pick one or two women in the program that you are close with, study together, motivate each other, and put the effort in outside of just the program hours. You'll have this actual Salesforce training and you'll get that intensively for a few days, but you have to put in the effort outside of the standard hours.
That's good advice, that to lean on each other, have a buddy to keep you motivated and accountable. I also wanted to ask, through the program and your experience at Bring Women Back to Work, is there something that you learned about yourself along the way?
First thing is, again, as someone who studied women and gender studies, I really realized how much I thrive in environments where I'm around other supportive women, women who are encouraging, women who are really trying to level up their career and challenge themselves. And the Bring Women Back to Work program really offered me that space. So the program was really a confirmation of something that I already knew, that when women come together and they support one another and they want to grow together, great things can really happen.
That's amazing. And we can see it a lot through the different cohorts and the community coming together. I want to now turn to your business, your incredible business called the Eltern Hub, because while you were doing the program, you were also working on your blog, the Eltern Hub. What inspired you to start writing and publishing your experience?
Well, because I thought I was not busy enough already with a newborn at home. And starting the BWBW program, I thought to myself, well, I always wanted a way to document my experience of living abroad. I thought it was such a unique experience to be a Dominican American woman of color living abroad in Germany and learning German as an adult. So I simply just wanted to get online and start sharing my story. So I started the Eltern Hub, Eltern meaning parents. So the Parent Hub as a blog. I just wanted a way to document my experience. So I wrote about, just all my learnings during my first year as an expat mom. Anything from how to decide which hospital you want to give birth in, to how to find English speaking resources, or how to find programs like BWBW to retrain and get yourself back into the workforce. And I wanted to do all of this in English because I saw that there was a clear gap for this information and for these resources for international families in Germany.
So at that point, it really was a blog for you. It was to share your experience and hopefully reach other women and parents out there who had moved to Germany and were facing the same things that you were.
Exactly.
At what point did you think there is a real need and a business case for what I'm doing and what I can offer to others professionally?
Well, the first validation of that came when I started first publishing my first post, and I got kind of over the hump of that fear of putting myself out there and being vulnerable and sharing my story. So once I kind of got over that and I saw people interacting with the posts and writing to me and saying, they're so happy that someone is finally sharing this, or that these resources are not available in English, that was kind of my first validation. The other one that was very pivotal is I started the Eltern Hub purely as a blog. I was not sure what this was going to turn into, even though I was open to see where this could really lead me to. But I got my first client at the end of 2022. So this was after almost 1 year of starting the blog. And my first client came through Instagram. Somebody wrote
Wow.
me a message, and they said, I think this person was based in Berlin, and they said, "Hey, I've been following your blog for a while since you started. I love what you're writing. I have a friend who is moving to Germany with her husband and her two children, and they're moving in about a month. And the mom is so nervous about this move. Could you please talk to her?" And yeah, I exchanged email information, and a few exchanges later, and she became my first client. And I met with her for a coffee in person when she arrived in Germany, and just really served as a support system for her to get her and her family established in Germany when they first arrived.
Incredible. So that was your first referral and the seed of your business.
Exactly. And it was fascinating because his family was also coming from the US. So we had that to connect with, both being Americans abroad. And they just desperately needed someone to connect with and someone to help them and just help connect them to the right resources.
That's incredible. I'm curious. You launched your business then at the end of 2022, or that was the start of seeing the Eltern Hub as a business. How has it evolved over time from when you began to what you're doing now?
So when I started and I got my first client, again, I didn't know what the Eltern Hub was going to become. So the first few conversations with international parents were more one-to-one consultations. So I would get online with them, or I would meet them in person and offer these kind of 1 hour or 2 hour long consultations where I would answer their most pressing questions. And now I'm still in the space of supporting international families relocating abroad to Germany, but I'm doing it in different capacities. One of the biggest one is I actually partner with local relocation companies, and I really serve as that ad hoc support to relocation teams and global mobility teams to help support their international family relocations.
Wow. So you're actually now working with these other companies to provide this unique service that you have that you can offer.
Exactly. So I really complement standard relocation services already. So they kind of take care of the logistics, and then I focus more on the family aspects, anything from schooling to supporting the expat spouse. That's a topic that's really near and dear to my heart that I know really aligns with BWBW program as well. But these expat spouses, you have the spouses that are moving here, the accompanying spouse with their partners who most likely have the job already secure in Germany. But you have these talented professional spouses who are trying to also navigate their professional life and careers abroad. And I help support them as well.
I would like to kind of dive into this a bit more because it's really, I think, going to resonate with the community, because a lot of women do end up moving countries when their spouse, for example, gets a new job. And for them, there's the element of going back to work, but also the element of your whole family dynamic changing, from the schooling system to the language to how it works in the structures. So I want to ask your opinion based on your experience in Germany and the families that you help. Where do you see opportunities to help women not just return to work to get their job in the new place, but really support them to actually be retained in the workplace, knowing that there's so many other aspects besides finding a job?
That is a really great question and a topic that I've been paying close attention to, especially when it comes to retention. That is also a topic that the companies that I work with really care about as well, not just getting people through the door, bringing them to Germany, but actually how to retain them. Germany is a wonderful place to raise children and to have a family. But there are definitely things about the system that make it challenging for women, fathers, just parents and caregivers to manage family life and career. One of those things is childcare. Many, what we call here, kitas, which are daycares or kindergartens, or even at the school level, a lot of the schools end their day early. And then families find themselves in situations where they have to, juggle the caretaking after school of the kids and juggling work. And if you consider the gender pay gap, and given that mostly women are the ones falling a little bit behind on that women are the ones who end up staying at home, having to sacrifice their careers and their working hours to care for the children. So I think understanding what your options are, for having that additional care support, childcare support after working hours. I think these are some of the topics that companies are starting to get into and see what support can they offer these families. Can they offer financial support so that families have additional caretaking hours so that the parents can work and balance a career full time along with their family. So you're starting to see a lot of conversations around how can companies get more creative to offer support for both mothers and fathers so that they can actually balance career and family life while living abroad in Germany.
And there's lots of work to be done there. So it's really inspiring that this is something that your business is working on. You also mentioned your studies are in women and gender, which is super interesting. Has this influenced your approach to your business and the issues that you're working on?
Honestly, women in gender studies has impacted almost everything in my life. It's really influenced the way that I lead, that I show up, that I advocate for myself and the families that I support. It's taught me, not being afraid to take risks, to stay focused on what the end goal is, which in my case is supporting international women and their families so that they can build a life that they're happy with and really help them thrive abroad. So women in gender studies was more than just what I majored in college. It's completely framed the way that I live my life and the way that I lead in my business.
Incredible. Based on your experience studying women and gender and applying it in all aspects of your life, is there a question or a mantra, we can ask ourselves in different situations we face during the day that can help us to really see and build equality on a daily basis? And I ask because maybe from your studies, these things are kind of now inherent to you, but something that we could maybe take from what you've learned and apply to our lives.
Really great question. And I'm just thinking, one thing that I would say, and something that I learned throughout my studies, is that oftentimes you're not going to be given the space or offer the space to sit at the table. And that's why I think it's really important that we have more women in leadership positions, whether they're corporate leaders, whether they're business owners and entrepreneurs. We need more women at the forefront who are going to create those more inclusive tables to invite other women to join. And I think that can really be achieved by having women as leaders, leading in their organizations, leading in their businesses, because we will invite each other to grow together, to sit at the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking ahead now for your business, what do you hope to achieve for your business, the Eltern Hub, but also for yourself in the coming years?
So now that I've had a good amount of years of work experience in the global mobility world, so I've worked in sales and marketing within global education companies. I've brought students abroad from all over the world, and now doing this relocation work with a focus on international families. I think my next step is to really develop my relocation services and also introduce tech into the work that I do, which is where my learnings from BWBW come from and have really helped. Tech is important, and I want to be in that space. And I think there's a lot of things already within the world of relocation that can be streamlined and where tech can be very helpful. So this is where I want to bring my experience again from BWBW and what I'm doing now in relocation and how I want to merge my two passions. And I want to continue to help people move and thrive abroad and build a tech that really supports that.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it evolves over time. And I think all of us listening and in our community are cheering you on. We wish you the best as you continue with the Eltern Hub and all these exciting initiatives on tech. What advice would you give to other women who are in the program or who want to return to work or even start their own business like you and they're looking for some inspiration?
I say no one really knows what they're doing when they first get started. So it's very easy to get on LinkedIn and want to compare yourself to maybe that business owner that's been in the game already for 10 plus years, or someone that's really high up in the corporate ladder. And I say, I know it's difficult, but don't compare yourself to someone else who's been doing this for so much longer. I'm sure they have their own share of failures and doubts, whether they've shared those or not, been transparent about it, who knows? But you just have to focus on getting started and always have your mission at the forefront. Always know why you do the work that you want to do, because people can really tell whether you're being genuine or not and how passionate you are about the work you're doing. So don't be afraid to get started. Put yourself out there, share your story.
That's an incredible advice. Thank you for sharing, Maria. And one final question for you. Is there a mantra or a mindset that has really worked for you over these years that you wish to share with our community?
There's one mantra that lives on a sticky note in front of
Awesome.
my desk. And I have to give credit to a really good friend of mine from back home in Boston. And she comes from a family of lots of entrepreneurs. And she shared a quote with me once that her grandfather told her. And again, it's living on a sticky note in front of me, but it says, every good business idea starts from a need. And I always carry that with me as I continue to grow the Eltern Hub. I try to remind myself, why is it that I'm offering the service that I'm offering? What problems am I trying to solve for international families who are moving abroad to Germany? And what is the need? What is it that my clients need that I can help solve for them? And I think remembering that in not just business, but also in work is very motivational.
Yeah. Every good business starts with a need. That's really good advice. And we wish you all the best as you continue to evolve and to grow the Eltern Hub and support so many families in Germany to help them to return, to retain, and to rise. Maria, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie.